Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commanders Core Studio. Welcome to the show. Today's episode is coming to you courtesy of Garland, who's been supporting this channel as a Brigadier General patron. I truly couldn't do this without the support of amazing patrons like Garland, so again, Garland, thank you so much. And what an episode I've got for you today, because finally it is here. It has been revealed. Oh, okay, it kind of has been officially confirmed, but not officially confirmed. So, yeah, let's just jump into it. Apparently, Press Start, I believe, is the website that accidentally might have released their article just a bit too early. I'll try to remember to link that in the description below. Future Mitch, when you're editing this, try to remember to link it, okay? Here's an exclusive Magic the Gathering March of the Machine card preview. And yeah, spoiler season is supposed to start tomorrow, not today. So one day early, that's okay. But yeah, because of that, we are not waiting for a very exciting spoiler, because this is a very exciting spoiler that is a brand new mechanic that we knew was coming, but we did not know what it is. So let's jump into the card. First up, Invasion of Zendikar. That is the front side of this battle, which apparently is a siege. So that is a subtype of a battle, apparently. Don't know what in the world that does. Don't know, what other kinds of subtypes there might be or how they interact or whatnot. All we know is basically what is on this card down the backside, and let's continue with this. Anyways, it is again a battle siege that costs 3 and a green, and it says, as a siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. Okay, so I guess siege is specific to that, so there's probably other ways to interact with it as well. Maybe some like sieges you control. Anyways, as it enters the battlefield, choose an opponent to protect it. You and others can attack it. When it's defeated, exile it, then cast it transformed. When Invasion of Zendikar enters the battlefield, search your life for the 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And it has a, I'm assuming, like defense, amount of 3, essentially. So, first up, if any of you out there have played Star Realms, though, this kind of looks similar to bases, and that's actually what I thought of first. It might interact in a similar way of that. It's very interesting because the way that it's worded, and I actually sent this over to Eddie, and we talked about it a little bit, is kind of strange, but I mean, it makes sense. It's just worded in this way so it can work in, both, standard, formats like that are one-on-one, and also Commander. Basically, this comes into play, you're like, hey, opponent. If you were in standard, you'd be like, hey, my only opponent. Here you go. In Commander, you're like, yeah, I choose the opponent that probably is, a spell slinger, or, one that doesn't have many creatures out, so they can't defend it very easily. And of course, you can politic as well and say, like, opponent, hey, you want to be my buddy, right? Let's be buddies. Swing at that and take it out. Yeah, so again, the way that's worded, like, you and others can attack it. So anyone can attack it. Obviously, the player who has it cannot. But yeah, anyone can attack it. So again, you can politic with it. Anyone can swing at this. It's kind of like a Planeswalker enchantment-ish kind of thing going on here. And again, kind of with those, 3, it's not loyalty counters on it, essentially, with the, the 3 at the bottom right. It's like defense counters or something like that. I don't even know what they're calling it. But again, kind of like Star Realms, I would assume. And I would assume that you have to take this out. Again, actually, that's kind of the different thing. With Star Realms, you have to take it out in one shot. This one, is it kind of like, a Planeswalker where it's got those counters on it? You take them off one at a time, so it doesn't have to be 3 damage all in one turn. It can be 3 damage over time. We don't know as of yet. I'm sure tomorrow we will get introduced to this mechanic and, exactly how it works. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below on it. Regardless, again, that ETB is fantastic. Go get 2 basics, put them into play, tap, then shuffle. This is basically, and as Eddie said it, Wizards really hates explosive vegetation. Yeah, apparently they do, because they keep just making better and better versions of it. This is just on ETB, hey, explosive vegetation. And of course, there are certain ways that we could probably use and abuse this. We'll talk about those here in a little bit. But yeah, a very interesting card. And let's flip it over to the backside, because when this is taken out, again, when it's defeated, again, either, all at once with, 3 damage or, damage over time potentially, depending on how that exactly works, this is going to be exiled, then you cast it transform. So an interesting way, it doesn't just exile away and then come back into play. You are casting it for whatever reason, not sure. Next up, though, yeah, so we've got the backside of it with Awakened Skyclave. Again, back to the normal, vertical orientation. So yeah, the horizontal layout is kind of strange to see on a Magic card. That's not like a split card from the old days or whatnot. But yeah, like one that's actually going to be in play. It's going to be very interesting to see a sideways card at the table. Regardless, the backside of this, again, is vertical. 4/4 Elemental with Vigilance and Haste. as long as it's on the battlefield, it's a land dish with other types. Tap add 1 of any color. So basically, hey, you've got a mana dork that is also technically a land that is a 4/4 vigilance and haste. So again, for 4 mana, you essentially, ramped, got, your 2 lands. Once it's taken out, that battle side essentially, you exile it, recast it, and you've got a 4/4 vigilant hasty land that you can tap for mana. So yeah, you kind of like ramp 3 with this actually, which is quite good. I mean, once it's taken out, it does take a little bit of effort to take it out, but maybe not even if you can convince an opponent to be like, hey, let's make a deal. But yeah, an interesting one. The creature, not too bad. Again, vigilance, allowing you to attack with this too, being a 4/4, not bad either. Hasty, so you can actually utilize it, mana-wise right away, or attack with it right away too. Very interesting card. And of course, since this is actually a creature as well, there are plenty of ways out there, and we'll talk about some here in a bit, to actually, blink this, to have it come back as the battle side, which I assume would be fine. It would happen like any other MDFC, essentially. If the back side of a card is in play, you blink it, it comes back into play as the front side again. So yeah, I would assume that would work the exact same way. Again, you can use and abuse that ETB to go get you 2 lands a lot. And yeah, I mean, sure, just throw the battle on someone else and be like, hey, swing at that again. Cool, why not? So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that are going on with this new battle. And again, of course, I believe we're going to be seeing other, battles, I would assume, in this set and sets to come after that. It's a very interesting kind of mechanic. Again, reminds me a lot. Again, if you haven't played Star Realms, I highly recommend playing it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, it reminds me a lot of bases in Star Realms, and definitely took some inspiration from that, it seems like. But yeah, definitely a lot of interesting interactions I'm sure that we're going to be seeing with them coming up. Now, a quick trip down memory lane, because yeah, again, like I mentioned, Explosive Vegetation, definitely a card that saw an absurd amount of play in Commander a while back, quite a while back, before they printed, I think the next Explosive Vegetation that was printed essentially was Circuitous Route, right? Search life for 2 basic lands, play the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. 4 mana, sorcery. This battle is obviously strictly better. They're starting to make, again, just strictly better versions of this card more and more often, more and more lately. And yeah, again, this one just 2 lands essentially, which is still nice. It's a good rate for 4 mana. But again, with this new one, you're getting, 2 lands, a potential incentive to attack someone. And then also, once it's flipped, a 4/4 with haste, that's also a land that can tap for mana. So you're kind of like ramping 3. And also, again, a potential way to use and abuse, that ETB on the battle side, essentially getting you more and more basic lands. Whereas this one, yeah, it's a sorcery. So, I mean, obviously, there are other versions printed of it, like I mentioned, that have seen a lot more play now. The most popular of those versions so far is Migration Path, which I believe came out back in, like, Ikoria. Go get those 2 basics into play, tap. Exact same thing, 4 mana. But also, if you don't need this, cycle it away, or cycle it for 2, to draw a card. So, yeah. There are better versions of Explosive Vegetation. They keep coming out, and I think this battle one is quite spicy, quite effective, and definitely could be up there with Migration Path, especially for the right deck that can really utilize, again, that ETB. And speaking of ETBs, so let's talk about some commanders that might want to utilize this card. The first one that came to my mind, would be Atraxa, Grand Unifier, because Atraxa is how we actually kind of found out about this type of card first. So Atraxa is a 7/7 flying vigilance, death touch, lifelinking Phyrexian Angel that costs a lot of mana, but still has a massive ETB, so it's a heavy hitter. And then its ETB is enters the battlefield with the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card among that type, revealed cards in your hand, the rest of them in your library in a random order. This it also includes, obviously, artifact, battle, creature, enchantment, instant land, planeswalker, sorcery. So this came out in the last set. It mentioned battle, which comes out in this set. So yeah, this was kind of the precursor to this. And obviously with this kind of a commander, by, making it so that you have a good amount of all those kind of card types, you are likely to hit more of them with that ETB. And again, on this ETB, you can get like 8 cards worth of card advantage, which is just absurd. And that's just on the ETB. And of course, there are ways to use and abuse this ETB, like, blink spells. Ephemerate is a 1 mana spell that can blink this, get you its ETB again, potentially, get 8 cards in your hand from that. And the next turn, you get it for free again. So yeah, this commander can definitely utilize, battles. You're going to want to consider quite a few of them again, just to make sure you're kind of balancing out your numbers. And again, yeah, if you're using and abusing ETBs, you can definitely do that with this brand new card as well. Next up, speaking of ETBs, yeah, Yarok definitely wants to consider this one as well. A 3/5 death touching, lifelinking commander that costs 2 black, green, blue. If a permanent enters the battlefield because a triggered ability permanent you control to trigger, the ability triggers additional time. Basically, Panharmonicon in the command zone. The OG Panharmonicon commander, Elish Norn. Anyway, and one that can actually use this new card. Elish Norn cannot, obviously, because it's not the color identity. But yeah, when this ETBs, when the battle ETBs, you get it twice then. So you get 4 lands for the price of 4 mana, which is absurd. And again, a Yorick deck is probably gonna have ways to use and abuse ETBs, like, you know, blinking. So if you use a simple blink spell, you ramp 4 lands again, which again with landfall triggers is what, like 8 landfall triggers, because it doubles that up too. So yeah, there's some absurd things that can happen with a commander like this. And yeah, I think this brand new card is gonna slot right into that kind of a deck. Spring Bloom Druid, eat your heart out. I mean, that's also a great card for this deck too, but yeah, this is gonna be absolutely incredible. Next up, Tatiova Benthic Druid, another landfall commander that is absolutely going to love this card as well. 3/3 enters the battlefield under your control. You gain 1 life, draw a card. Cool, awesome. So, hey, let's play the battle side. Get those 2 lands that come into play. Also gain 2 life, draw 2 cards. Lovely. And then when it flips, I believe you'd also be having a land technically come into play too, because it is a land. So, yeah, you would be drawing a card, gaining a life. Correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's correct. And again, if not, yeah, there again are ways to, you know, use and abuse that ETB. Get it back to your hand potentially, get it back into play, blink it, do all the things to just, you know, make it so that you can get even more value out of this absurdly cool card. And then we've got Tatiova Steward of Tides, yet the other Tatiova, the lesser Tatiova. No offense, Tatiova Steward of Tides. I'm bringing it up for a different reason though. 3/3 Merfolk Druid, land creatures you control flying, and on top of that, whenever land is battlefield under control, if you control 7 or more lands, you can make one of your lands a 3/3 with haste, still a land. So cool, you can make a land army with this, but also, yeah, you can benefit, you know, from, you know, land creatures that are already there, like, you know, this battle. Once it transforms into that land creature, you can then, of course, yeah, utilize it, and it has flying now too, so it gives it some evasion as well. So yeah, even the newer Tatiova can utilize this as well. Again, the old Tatiova, yeah, can utilize a lot of land things, but this is just one I wanted to bring up as well. Finally, Omnath Locust of the Royal. Yeah, this is an elemental, or at least the other side is. So when it enters the battlefield, it's going to deal damage to any target equal to the number of elementals you control. So Omnath's going to say, hey, also an elemental right there with that land. Cool, thank you. On top of that, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get a counter on target elemental you control. And then if you control 8 or more lands, you draw a card. This helps you get to the 8 or more lands, right? Obviously. Landfall is going to be great with this, getting counters on your things, drawing cards, you know, your land actually entering the battlefield as an elemental too. It's going to be quite nice as well with this kind of a commander too. So yeah, just a couple of commanders to consider this already. Of course, there are definitely others out there. There are a ton of decks out there that run like, you know, Migration Path. I'm not saying this is Migration Path. There are definitely scenarios where it's going to be better or worse than Migration Path, but a lot of decks out there that are running, you know, Explosive Vegetation Plus should be considering this one as well, because it is Explosive Vegetation Plus. In a lot of scenarios, it's going to be better than Migration Path, and some it might not be, but yeah, it's a great card. Moving on, let's talk about, again, some ways that you can use and abuse this effect, and there are plenty of them out there. Ghostly Flicker is a, you know, a simple blink spell, one that is quite popular, and one that Wizards needs to reprint because it's not budget-friendly anymore. At least not budget-friendly for me. It's less than $1 right now. Or it's more than $1 right now. I need to be less. Anyways, I'm a little thrown off. Ghostly Flicker. Exile 2 target artifacts. Creatures enter land you control, return them to the battlefield under your control. This is great for blink strategies. Obviously, blink 2 things for 3 mana. Yeah, that's quite nice. And again, the thing with this, obviously, is of course this can blink a creature or a land. So if, again, it is flipped over to that land creature side, you can then basically exile it, bring it back, and again, when a card, you know, is brought back, it is going to be on the front side again, so you get that ETB again. Again, like a Yorick deck, this can just be absolutely absurd amounts of value, again, for just 3 mana. A lot of other blink spells can work this as well, obviously, you know, because you can blink creatures with a lot of blink spells. But yeah, if you've got, you know, an exile permanent spell, yeah, you can blink that battle side as well. I think, like, you know, Teferi's Time Twist is one. I don't know why I didn't put that in the slides, but you know what? We're going to keep moving on because I also included Ruin Ghost because, yeah, it's kind of a funny interaction with this one. Hey, pay a white, exile target land you control, turn the battlefield under your control. This is a really weird card, one that is pretty cool and one that works very well, obviously, with, well, this brand new card because, hey, after you flip it, and then it's a land side, land creature side, I'm like, hey, that's still land. Cool, pay 1 mana, exile it, bring it back. Awesome, it's the front side, get that ETB, go get those 2 lands. Definitely a lot of ways to use and abuse that ETB. Now, one funny thing that Eddie did bring up as a cautionary tale for all those players out there playing Voidmere, yeah, this could technically shut down at least the part of the new card because, hey, it says whenever a player casts a spell, if no colored mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. And yeah, again, of course, once you are, you know, defeating the battle siege thing or whatever, once it is defeated, you exile it, then cast it again. I'm not sure why it doesn't exile, then come to play, transform it on the back. Usually that's how, like, you know, a lot of those things work, but this one isn't that. This one's like, you know, exile it, recast it. So since you would be casting it without spending any any mana on it, you know, any colored mana on it, any mana on it at all, it would then be countered. So yeah, there's definitely ways that you know, you can't actually cast it. So yeah, it's just kind of a strange interaction that Eddie wanted to bring up. But yeah, blame Eddie in the comments below in case that ever happens to you. Yeah, overall, Invasion of Zendikar is a very interesting card. It's one that I don't know exactly what I expected to see with battles. I guess something like this is kind of around that, where, you know, it's like you're trying to take something out, was kind of how I thought it would be. And yeah, I guess this kind of gives you a benefit when it enters, you know, gives you a benefit when it's taken out. You can politic with it, which I think is pretty cool with your opponents. I think it's interesting that this, again, is the horizontal orientation, which, again, I think is going to be kind of strange for Magic players at first to get used to. Again, if you played Star Realms before, you're used to some horizontal orientation, again, with bases and stuff like that. And again, I think this takes a lot of inspiration from that as well, which I think is pretty ironic, because I believe Star Realms was made by 2 Magic pros. So yeah, that's kind of funny how that works. But yeah, an interesting card. I'd love to hear your thoughts on battles. Again, I guess I should say, technically not officially confirmed, I don't think, but yeah, basically confirmed, because it was released like on an actual site that had a preview card, and they just released it basically a day too early, it seems like. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that that's how it came out. But we've had weirder ways that cards are spoiled. I mean, we've had cards spoiled in a landfill. So yeah, this is just a already strange year with some strange new cards, but exciting ones as well. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And of course, make sure you stay tuned for even more exciting spoilers and quick takes. Most likely starting tomorrow, right? But you never know. There might be some more today. Who knows with what in the world is happening with Wizards. So yeah, with that, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.